a new Elsie Silver book, and I just cannot wait. I need my hands on this immediately. Like, just go read it. And if you don't like it, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Like, right now, when I've read her point of view, I kind of like the girl. Hey guys, it's Ems and welcome back to my reading room. Today we are going to be doing my August wrap up and September TBR. We are heading into the fall month, so I am super excited to start getting into some of the more fantasy and fall-esque reads that I've been waiting to read this entire year. Until then, let me tell y'all about what I read in August. The first book I read in August was a novel love story by Ashley Poston. And when I tell you that I ate this book up, y'all, I devoured this book. This was like a 6-star read for me, obviously a 5-star. I think about this book daily. You would think that I haven't thought about this book. I read it at the beginning of the month. I don't remember it. I remember it all. I cried, I underlined. This book was everything to me, and it was just such a cozy read. There's so much I have to say about this book. In a novel love story, you have Elsie Merriweather, who loves a good romance book. She loves to read, she has a book club, and when things start going kind of downhill in her life, and she needs to go to this group vacation they take every year, but nobody else can go. Well, Elsie doesn't like that, so she goes on her own, but when she's there, she falls or finds this town, and she doesn't know what it is. There's no indication of where she's at until she meets people, and she realizes that she has fallen into her favorite book. This book is for the reader girlies. I believe in reading it in the right months, and I feel like if you read this when it came out, it may have been a disappointment, but I read it right when I was getting into my kind of cozy, more fallish weather, and I ate it up. There was so much development, and just knowing the characters from her book, like I cried reading this book 3 times. Not even for the story, just like there was so much character in here, and I really felt connected to so many of the characters, even if it wasn't like a main character. But what I would tell you is, in a lot of Ashley Poston and Emily Henry and all these like kind of writers, you are focusing on the main girl of this book, and for this one I would not say go into it looking for romance, because the romance is kind of on the back burner a lot of the time, and I think you get a good amount of it, but don't go looking for it. Like, I feel like just kind of enjoy the story, enjoy the side characters, learn about the book. Like, I feel like really enjoying the characters and kind of getting connected to the story before the romance made me really, really like this. The next book that I read was the last book in the Love Light Farms series, Business Casual by B.K. Borison. Of all of the Love Light Farms books, this one had to have been like my second favorite. My first favorite was obviously In the Weeds. I loved that one. But if you realize, this book is Nova and Charlie's book, and Nova is actually Beckett's sister, who is the In the Weeds main character. There's just a lot of character building in this book, and I feel like you kind of get to see all the town. There's just so much that I enjoyed about the other books that got put into this book that I really, really liked. You could definitely read it as a standalone, but I would totally recommend reading the rest of them first, only because there's so much history in this one that you kind of really need to build it up to enjoy it. I think give this one a 4 stars because it wasn't my favorite, but I did really like it compared to some of the other ones. In Business Casual, you have Nova Porter, who is Beckett Porter's little sister. You are seeing Nova kind of try and break out of her shell, become what she really wants to be while working in her tattoo parlor. She's finally building her own business in this Love Light Farms town. You have Charlie, who is Stella's brother, half-brother. In this, you are seeing Nova kind of, in the beginning of the book, proposition Charlie for a one-night stand, and then after that, you're like, well, what happens? And you kind of just go through this timeline of what goes on with Charlie and Nova. And Charlie has this nickname for Nova, and I don't love nicknames, but it was so good. Like the way, and then she like kind of caught on to it and like would say. The next book I read was Body Check by Elle Kennedy, and this one I had no clue was a re-release until I read the author's note right here, and it's like, this is a re-release, I really hope y'all like it, and I was like, I thought this was a brand new book. I had no idea that this was a re-release, but I can tell you that this was a 3 stars for me. Out of all of Elle Kennedy's hockey romances, this one was not my favorite, and I think that's because I've read some of her fleshed out ones already that are like found family. There's so much to it. There's like everything's going on. It could be slow burn, it goes by really quickly, and this was a standalone and one of her first ones, so I think I didn't like it as much because it felt like every other hockey romance I've ever read. So it was like I felt bad kind of not liking it as much as I did because I've read so many hockey romances now that it just felt like every other one. Like there was not enough substance for me to like have loved it. And I think if I read it before, or if I had read it like when it came out, I would have really liked it. In Body Check by Elle Kennedy, you have Hayden Houston, who is the daughter of this big league hockey coach. He does all the hockey stuff, and one night she goes on a one-night stay with one of his players, and then she is now around the team a lot, and you'll just have to see like what happens with her and the hockey player. Some other stuff happens, and there is a scandal. And that part of the book I really did eat up. It was super fun. I definitely would check this one out if you like hockey romances, and if you like the kind of study like, oh, this is kind of like every other hockey romance. Like if you just love hockey romances, this one is definitely for you. The next book I read was Hello Stranger by Catherine Center. I gave it a whatever's on the screen. I can't totally remember right now. I definitely enjoyed this book. I think there was so much substance to it. A lot of Catherine Center books, you're always going through the main character's life. It is very women's fiction, always with a side of romance. I love her writing. I think she writes so well and just like so crazy that you kind of just have to enjoy this story. I read this super quickly. Some of her side characters are always the best, and just the growing and kind of family dynamics and relationships that she puts into her books, I always really like. In Hello Stranger, you have Sadie Montgomery, who is going through kind of a traumatic point in her life. A lot of stuff is going on. She's going through the art world, and then one day she has to get a surgery and she can't see faces. She has no idea how to like put people's faces together. Their faces are there, she just cannot see them. She really just doesn't know how to put faces together, and she has to figure out context clues of a person and voices, and she's really just trying to figure out how to live her life in a newfound way. I would always go into a Catherine Center book with the romance on the back burner. I think you'll enjoy the romance more if you're not searching for it. The plot twist in this book is literally crazy, had my jaw dropped, and I should have known by context clues. Totally slipped my mind. When it happened, I was like, yo, like that's crazy. The next book I read is one that we all have been waiting for. If it was out early, you were picking it up. If it hasn't been out yet, you are waiting for it. But I read Daydream by Hannah Grace, which is the third book in the Maple Hill series. We have all been waiting for Henry's books since we read any of the Icebreakers and Wildfires and whatever. If you didn't like Icebreaker and if you didn't like Wildfire, I would still pick up Daydream. Found family is very prominent in these books, so it's like better to read them all, but they're really, like I am ready to reread. I'm obsessed with this book. This was a 4.75. And I'm still thinking about it. I have no words for how much I really did enjoy this book. I picked it up in more of kind of a slumpy time where it's taking me a while to read books, but I laid down in my bed and finished this book in a day. Henry literally blew my expectations. Like he was just so perfect. And I don't want to like hype this book up too much because if you don't like it, I'm like, crazy, but for me personally, Henry was everything, and I really liked Hallie. With Hallie, there was some points where I was like, I really related to her, and then other things that I couldn't really relate to. But even with the stuff that I couldn't relate to, she just as a character, I like felt like I was just seeing her. Like it just felt so nice to be able to kind of connect and just find things about these characters that I related to with Henry and with Hallie. Like she's a Taylor Swift girly. She's like the romance reader. She's book clubs. Like she was just everything. And there was so much about her that I could really relate to. Like read the book, please. Like read it. Like go pick it up now. Like just go read it. And if you don't like it, don't tell me. I don't want to know. Like in Daydream, you have Henry Turner, who is this big league captain. He is in the hockey team, and you are kind of seeing him navigate college, and in one of his classes he is not doing well, so now he needs to figure out how to start doing well in this class so he can really be the best captain that he wants to be. Hallie is your local romance bookstore reader. She is your older sister type. She is taking care of everything. She's taking care of everyone, and she just got out of a relationship with a hockey player, so you're kind of seeing her go through this path of figuring out who she wants to be. And then she starts tutoring Henry, and you'll see the found family tropes. I really enjoyed Hallie's friend group. I really enjoyed Henry's friend group, just kind of seeing all the different tropes and found families in here, seeing the found families we have, seeing the new found families. Like it was literally everything. And I totally recommend, just because like I have no clue what I would do if I didn't recommend this book to you. The next book I read was If We Were Perfect by Anna Huang. This is the last book in the If Love series. I have now officially finished all Anna Huang books that are traditionally published. With If We Were Perfect, I don't remember anything. I also don't even remember what I gave it. So this is what I gave it, and this is second chance. It was friends to lovers and now technically enemies to lovers. I think it is only one perspective. There is no past. And if you want the past, read the first book, the If Love. And If We Ever Meet Again, you meet them and you kind of see the Shanghai portion. And if you want to get really into their story, like read the rest of them because they're background characters, side characters, until they get to their book. In If We Were Perfect, you have Olivia and Sammy. They dated back in college, and that is in some of the other books we have. But once you get to their book, it is really focused on them right now. There's not really talking about their past. You're trying to figure out their communication. Olivia is moving to San Diego to work on her job, and one day her apartment floods and now she needs to live somewhere. Sammy steps up and you kind of see if they rekindle. You don't really know what goes on, but you're following in their journey of romance, and you'll see what happens with them in this one. Next book I read was The Fiancé Dilemma by Elena Armas. I personally really love Elena Armas, and this book was a 3.5 for me. This is the second book after The Long Game. I would read The Long Game because it makes so much more sense going into this one, because I read The Long Game about a year ago and I didn't remember a single character that was like supposed to be prominent in this book, and I had to like kind of go back to The Long Game and look through to figure out what they were talking about. I think if I had fully remembered everything, I would have given this like a higher rating, maybe a 4, but because I couldn't remember a lot of stuff, it was definitely like a 3.5. I really liked seeing Cam in here. He is like the cutest ever. He is from The Long Game. When it comes to Josie and Matthew, I think they had good tension, but I could not really see the romance. There was so much stuff that goes on in this book that I was like, I have no clue if I'm really invested in their story as I wanted to be. There was a lot of stuff going on and just so many different character dynamics that I couldn't fully get behind the romance. I really liked a lot of the side characters in the small town of the book. I think there was just so much that I couldn't fully remember that I was like, maybe this isn't my favorite. In The Fiancé Dilemma, you have Josie, and there becomes a big misunderstanding. Josie tells everyone that Matthew is her fiance because there is this PR stuff going on, and she meets this person who is telling her like, you need to do this and do this and do that, and there's a misunderstanding, and you kind of see where their fake engagement comes in. And I have been trying to figure out how to tell y'all what the blurb of this book is without spoiling anything. So I would say it is a fake engagement, and you're kind of seeing what goes on through this fake engagement. The next book that I read was I Was Needing a Fantasy. I have been reading so much romance. From spring to summer, I think I maybe read like 2 fantasy books, and I was just like, I want to read a fantasy. So I looked at the bottom of my shelf and I was like, I have one fantasy on my shelf, and that was The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. I devoured this book. This was a 3.5 for me, but the difference between the 3.5 for The Fiancé Dilemma and the difference between the 3.5 for The Cruel Prince is I think I really expected more from The Fiancé Dilemma, the romance, but then I got into The Cruel Prince and I was like, wow, I really like this, but I want more. This is the first book in the trilogy. In The Cruel Prince, you have Jude, whose parents are no longer with them, and you have her 3 sisters that have to go live in fairyland. Taryn and Jude are human, and you kind of have to see them navigate fairy world while kind of being bullied by these princes and princesses, and just they're trying to make up their worth, where Taryn is more in the love department and Jude is more in the fighting and kind of trying to be out their department. And then you have Vivi, who is a fairy, one of their sisters, and she's just like, get me out of here. This is all from Jude's point of view, and I definitely recommend. I have only read the first one so far, so I can't tell you if I love the series, but I definitely enjoyed this one enough to want to keep going. I didn't love Jude. I think she was just a lot for me, and I love a romance, so like I'm always, I think, looking for more of a romance character, but Jude was so fun, she was so powerful that I definitely enjoyed her perspective. There was just a lot of stuff that she would say and I'd be like, whoa, like what am I reading? And I definitely really liked it. The next ones are coming in and I'm hopefully reading them in September, but I definitely would recommend The Cruel Prince. But I think it's more of a beginner fantasy because like some of my friends have read fantasy and I'm like, I don't know if they would enjoy this, but I really enjoyed it because I don't read tons of fantasy. Next and almost last book I read was The Art of Catching Feelings by Alicia Thompson. I gave this book a 2.5, and let me tell you why. I did not like this trope at all. I don't know if it was maybe the way it was written or if I just don't like this trope in general. I can't fully tell you. I don't know how many times I've read this trope and enjoyed it or didn't. But I could not get behind the romance at all. There was so much going on, and I just personally did not like that type of like miscommunication and just not knowing. I really liked Chris. I think I related to him a lot of ways that I super just enjoyed his character. I just personally did not like the way that it was written. There was so much character that I felt like I didn't get and like didn't understand that I just personally didn't like it. But I would recommend it. I think it was a 2.5 for me, but I'd recommend it to you. If you like a sports romance and if you like the tropes that are in it, you would enjoy it. I think just the way it was written, I could not personally get behind. In The Art of Catching Feelings, you have Daphne, who is at a baseball game. She just got divorced and she starts heckling players, and she's out of it. She's just doing stuff, and then one of the players that she heckles turns around and makes eye contact with her, and then you kind of see what happens after this, and then she sends an apology message, which, okay, great, but then they start talking and he doesn't know that it's her, and then what goes on from there, you'll have to figure that out. The last book I don't have on hand, which is actually a novella. It is The Lost Sisters by Holly Black. It is the 1.5 in the Cruel Prince trilogy, and it is Taryn's point of view. I was reading reviews after I had read it, and a lot of people did not like it because they don't like Taryn. And I don't know when this novella came out. I don't know if it came out before some of the books or after some of the books, but when people were rating it, they had spoilers. And I was like, great, now I know some of the stuff that happens in the rest of the books. They didn't have the same opinions as me, and I don't know if this is unpopular, but I actually really liked this one. I gave it a 4 stars for a novella. I really enjoyed Taryn's point of view. I think her kind of talking to Jude in this letter and kind of in this story, I really was able to kind of grasp what Taryn was thinking during that time. It was just written so poetically, and I think because it was so poetic, I really enjoyed just the writing of it. And I may not love what Taryn did and what Taryn was doing, but I just personally really liked the way it was written. It was like, okay, immediately I like this book. I like this novella, and I would recommend reading it. You don't have to read it, but kind of knowing this point of view that Taryn was seeing. But there was something at the end she said, and I was like, yeah, all right. Girl, what? I just think it was written so well that I was like, whoa, I really like this. Because I didn't love Jude as much, I like really liked Taryn's point of view. But I think once I get more into the actual Cruel Prince, like the rest of it, then maybe I'll start really liking Jude. But for now, I like Taryn. Maybe not what she's done, but her as a character, I kind of like her. And I feel like that might be bad. Like, I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments. Should I like Taryn or should I not really like Taryn? I kind of like Taryn. Maybe I'll retract my statement when I read the rest of the books. But like right now, when I've read her point of view, I kind of like the girl. Those were the 10 or 9.5 books that I read in August. I really hope y'all enjoyed what I had to say about them. And now let's get into what I would like to read in September. In September, I would like to read the last 2 books in the Cruel Prince trilogy, The Wicked King and the Queen of whatever. I'm not totally sure what that one is called, and then maybe some more Elfhame books if we get to it. I also would like to read The Boyfriend Goal. I have no clue who this is by, but I ordered it and I want to read it. And Fault Line by Key Stevens. This is the second book after Springtide. These 4 books I ordered on Amazon and they are supposed to be here soon, so I would like to read these ones in September. And then I have some of the books that have just been sitting on my little TBR. I have The Enemy and The Match by Sarah Adams. These are some of her older books that were republished, and I have no clue when I'm gonna get to them, but I definitely want to get to them soon. And I have The Kiss Curse by Erin Sterling. I believe I need to read The X-Hex first, but I didn't buy The X-Hex, so I might wait to read this one. In September or October, I would like to read The Kiss Curse and The X-Hex. I can't even believe that I forgot this one. I literally just realized Wild Eyes. This comes out on Tuesday, so pretty soon. this book comes out and I will have my hands on it immediately. I will be reading this as fast as possible because I am so excited for a new Elsie Silver book, and I just cannot wait. I need my hands on this immediately. It'll look so pretty next to Wild Love, and I can't even, the orange, I am so excited, and I can't believe I almost forgot to say that. Like, I went so fast with the other ones, but Wild Eyes, I needed my hands. Miss Elsie Silver, please, 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 please. I can't wait. Those are all the books that I might read or want to read in the month of September. I am super excited to get back into recording. Now that I'm in school, it may be harder to post a lot of these videos or film a lot of these videos, but I definitely will keep trying. If you want to stay updated with me, you could check out my book talk where I post a lot of book videos, or you can check out my Bookstagram where I keep you updated, and obviously my Goodreads as well. Those are all my little book accounts where you can keep updates with all my book stuff if I am not here on YouTube. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope y'all enjoyed this wrap up. Thank you for coming to my little library. Bye. See you later.
Do you know you have 30 minutes?